Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joseph Hewes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Okay, today is June 1st, 2022, and I have a video to post about gender. Gender! Woohoo! Okay, Joseph Hewes is going to tell you guys about my experience with gender. Now, in fact, I'm not going to tell you about a recent experience. I'm going to tell you about one of the first experiences Joseph Hewes had with gender. Okay, now of course you might be saying, or you might be thinking, what are you talking about, gender? Okay, now of course, if you've been paying attention, there is a political movement in the United States and Europe mainly that basically has attempted to erase gender distinctions, to redefine gender distinctions, to get rid of gender as a distinction. Okay, and now of course for a million years we've always kind of gone on the assumption that there are boys and girls, and maybe a little tiny percentage of people who are a little bit confused about that. Maybe a little tiny percentage of people who are born with some kind of birth defect where you're not completely sure what their gender is or whatever. But for the most part, the human species has kind of gone on the assumption that there are two genders. Okay, so I'm going to define for you, I'm going to describe for you one of the first experiences Joseph Hewes, I had with gender. Kind of trying to find a good lighting here. The sun's kind of beating down. I'm not sure how badly that's messing up the picture here. But anyways, let me walk over here maybe a little bit in the shade, and that will kind of mitigate, you know, the menacing sun. But anyways, Joseph Hewes at the age of about 5 years old. That's what I'm going to talk to you about. 5 years old. I'm talking the 1960s, a long time ago. Okay, now I remember. Okay, now of course, all little kids are going to school. I'm talking about kindergarten. And my particular school was about 5 or 6 blocks away. So they had these things called bus stops. And the bus would come pick up all of us kids and take us to school. And when the bus came, you know, the bus driver kind of had a way of organizing the kids so that they would get on the bus. And evidently the little boys occasionally would behave badly. You know, they'd pull the hair of the little girls or whatever. So they separated the little boys and the little girls into two different lines. And the little boys would get in a line and they would go into the bus first. And then the little girls, they'd have a separate line. They'd go on to the bus second. Now where Joseph Hewes' experience comes into play here was, I was 5 years old and evidently one day I was a little bit late to the bus, and I was standing at the top of the hill right out in front of our house, and I looked down the hill and I saw that, you know, they were already halfway into their process of getting into the bus. And my mother said, go down, run, go catch up, go get on the bus. And I said, I can't, it's the girls' line, and the boys had already gotten on the bus, and now it was the girls' turn, and the boys weren't allowed to get into the girls' line. And I was yelling at my mother, I can't go down there, it's the girls' line, the girls are getting on the bus. And the bus drove away, and I missed the bus because I was a little 5-year-old kid, and they had told me I wasn't allowed to get in the girls' line, and the girls' line was, you know, going in, and of course my mom, you know, came out and we got into our automobile and my mom drove me to school that day. But evidently at the age of 5, I recognized the difference between boys and girls, and I knew that I wasn't allowed to get into the girls' line. Okay, so that's Joseph Hewes' experience with gender at the age of 5. Now, of course, I'm sure I had other experiences. I knew I had a mother and a father, and I knew my mother was a girl and my father was a boy. And if you've ever heard a guy named Chris Plant, he's a great radio commentator. The best way he describes it is, he says, girls have innies, boys have outies. Okay, that's the best way to understand the difference between boys and girls. Boys have outies, girls have innies. And at the age of 5, Joseph Hewes understood this concept, that there were boys in the world and there were girls in the world. Okay, of course now the Democrat Party has decided, okay, it didn't negotiate with anybody on this. They didn't come to conservatives, hey, we have a new idea that we want to kind of do. We're going to start taking gender off the birth certificates. Maybe if you apply for a passport, we're going to remove gender from that. See, they didn't negotiate. They just started doing these things, and that kind of tells you who the master is and who the slave is. Do what you want with that. Okay? Evidently, Democrats think they're our masters. And conservatives, let them be the masters, I guess. When the Democrats start changing things without anybody's permission, especially when they're the minority party. But anyways, that's Joseph Hewes' experience with gender. You know, I refused at the age of 5 to go down and get in the girls' line because there was a rule. Boys weren't allowed in the girls' line. And evidently, they don't do it that way anymore. Okay. Joseph Hewes, signing out.